How you doing, YouTubes? Welcome to Developments, my 430th weekly update. Going to be pretty quick this week because I don't have a lot of room on the camera to record footage, but it doesn't matter because this week has been a relatively, just call it a chill week, I guess. Still trying to lift heavy where I can, but also not necessarily on a program. Mostly because the show coming up is so soon, I don't really have time to really get much stronger. It's one of those just sort of trying to unlock the strength I have within me, while also doing a little bit to sort of rehab some of the problem areas I'm having. Having some weird palm pain in my left hand, and then my right bicep tendon is just, it's kind of rough sometimes, not gonna lie. Luckily today I finally was able to discover exactly where it gets really stressed, and that's good news because then what I can do is introduce light stress and stimulation there in order to sort of get a bunch of blood in that area and, hopefully rehab it to the point where it can stop fucking hurting all the time when I'm, doing certain movements like my job, which involves carrying awkward things and rolling stones in positions my arm does not like. So that's good news this week. No major crazy PRs. I think the only quote-unquote impressive thing I did this week was I did some yoke picks. Actually just one, and it's the most weight I've ever had on my back. Because I think I did 650 at that show that I walked 30 feet. But I did a 655 pick just yesterday, which on the yoke we have is really tough to do. Our yoke is it's very homemade, and so basically everything you do on it is more challenging than most yokes you'll find at a comp, which is good. Training should be harder. So my theory is that if I can get up to like a 900-pound yoke pick and something like, I don't know, like a 750, 800 walk on that yoke, even if it's super slow, it's just going to make me better at other things. I've always been able to keep up on moving events, so I'm not overly concerned with that. Right now it's just getting static strength up. That's always been my biggest weakness, especially on overhead. But we'll see. We got a car flip coming up. I should be pretty okay at that. I'm good at leveraging those kind of weird lifts. And gonna give the dumbbell one more good college try this week, or I should say this week coming up. It's the last time I will try to lift quote-unquote heavy. And I know it's one of those things where once I break through and hit that 120 on that gigantic new dumbbell we have, it'll all just click. But my plans for after this show are to just sort of sit down and just almost treat it like another off-season, because I feel like I actually made some pretty good progress on this off-season. So I'd like to continue that, and I think this time I'm going to do things just slightly differently. Probably won't be deadlifting every week. I'll probably only deadlift once a month, honestly, and that'll be my heavy deadlifts. I'll do a lot of RDLs, a lot of rows, already doing more front squats and already getting much better at them than I have in the past. And then overhead, just rerun that same program I ran before. Might do it with log this time, just because I suck at log and I really need to work on it. Of course, the axle clean is also tough for me too, so it's one of those things. We'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna refigure things and come back and hopefully make it to the point where I can actually be mildly competitive. Just take myself to the next level, finally get to the point where I could keep up with states, essentially. I think goals for after that program will be to be able to do something like 300 a hand farmers. I'd like to be able to run, or at least move, an at least 700-pound yoke on our yoke for 50 feet, regardless of time. I'd like my press, regardless of style, whether it's out of a rack or a clean and press, to be somewhere in the realm of 215 would be really nice. Um, and then rehab this damn arm while I'm doing all of that. And deadlift, it'd be nice to finally be in the mid fives. I really feel like it with a good little peak, I could probably pull like 520, because I mean I pulled 505 on one of the shittiest days I was having, which was like a PR. So yeah, if I can get into those mid fives finally, I'll feel pretty good about myself. We'll see. I'm gonna push it where I can push it, and kind of pull back where I need to pull back, and rehab what I need to rehab, and just try to work on my weaknesses. I know for a fact if I get better at front squats, my stone is going to go up. And, I've been doing kind of sandbags to shoulders and to squats. And I think a cool goal for me would be to be able to do something along the lines of, like, I'd like to put the 220 on my shoulder and be able to squat it for at least one or two. It's a very awkward lift when you have, like, that much weight on one shoulder. Just doing the 135 is tough. Granted, I always do it after I do front squats, but still, it is what it is. And, I'm going to work on some stuff. I might even actually throw some bench in there, just for the fun of it. Probably more like close grip Spotto. I always feel like I get something out of those. I just need to actually progress with them and get somewhere with it. So yeah, that's a little breakdown of this week. Finally finished all the trophies, stones for that one show. That's another thing, if I'm pouring in these 7 days, I'll have poured over 3,000 pounds of concrete. No, luckily, once these next 5 I pour on Sunday are done, then I only have 4 more stones to do, and it's just 2 of the same ones back to back, and they're both very small. So won't actually have to pour a ton of stuff. Won't have to stop at Lowe's and pick up, 1,000 pounds of concrete every other day. I'll be able to just grab, the 800, and that'll be enough to finish this whole job, and I'll finally be done with all of those. So something to look forward to there. So yeah, nothing wrong with running without a plan every once in a while. And don't be afraid to. If you are, then what's your excuse?